What's happening, everybody? I I'm gonna get right into it. I wanted to follow up with the thing that I talked about yesterday, um, because hey, Amy, um, and what I talked about yesterday was the stabbing incident in Sydney, Australia, that took place Tuesday, and mostly we talked about those guys. But tonight I'm going to uh, do my best to honor the victim who died, because I learned a little bit about her today, and I felt that it was absolutely necessary um, to prepare a little something and discuss it. Um, so yeah. What's up, Shannon? So yeah, I'm not gonna wait too long to let people come in here, because there's always playback. So I'm just gonna get right into it. Um, so Michaela Dunn, 24, was murdered in the incident that took place in Sydney on Tuesday. I've read reports that her throat was cut. I mean, either way, it really doesn't matter how, this happened. I don't want to dwell too much on the crime itself, because, again, this is not a true crime channel, you know. But the suspect was caught, and I talked extensively about the circumstances to which he was caught when I went live last night. And it was due to the extremely valiant and courageous efforts of those four very brave young men, Alex, Lee, Paul, and Luke, who I expressed much respect towards last night. I kind of feel like I can't express enough respect to these brave young guys, man. Frankly, I just, yeah, I these brave young, good-hearted men who chased this violent piece of shit through waves of innocent bystanders running towards them in the opposite direction through the streets of Sydney, you know, like reacting with what seems to be like pure instinct, right? So what's so fascinating to me was it was collectively a pure instinct to do good. It's what you imagine, or at least what I imagine, drives a hero in the truest sense of the word. Just that pure, not thinking, get on it, and not want to hurt anyone in the process, including the person they're trying to stop. I just found that astonishing. You know, and they ran this guy down and cornered him and were able to subdue him with the use of like nearby objects that just happened to be there by chance, like chairs, to like pin his body down and protect themselves from like wild flailing limbs. One of them was armed with a knife that apparently was used to maim a nearby 41-year-old woman whose injuries were minor, thank goodness, right? And from reports I've read, she's already been released from the hospital. So thank goodness for that. I know she was a Chinese immigrant. I don't know I don't know if she was a citizen, if they said she was a Chinese citizen or immigrated from China and became an Australian citizen. I don't know, but I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say her name because I don't, she lived through the incident. I don't want to, you know. So um, it's also not meant to be a true crime channel too. So I'm only discussing the bullet points of the entire situation just to give you some perspective on it. I mean, these guys also use a milk crate to cover this fucker's head. Like totally Hannibal Lecter, like that purpose of that same mask that Hannibal Lecter used, I guess, so that this dude couldn't bite anybody, uh, or I guess maybe not be able to cut his own throat, because apparently this guy was yelling to the crowd, "Shoot me in the fucking head." Um, so yeah, this guy was a real piece of work. So I just can't get over how smooth this was done by four untrained young guys just trying to go about their day at work and just simply had an instinct to do the right thing when they saw something that looked like a possibly and likely extremely fucking dangerous situation, right? So, again, much love to those guys. Uh, but tonight's going to be about Michaela. I think it's pronounced Michaela, based on her nickname. Her friends called her Mikki. She was a former Catholic student and attended Rosebank College as well as the University of Notre Dame. She loved to travel, and she did so, according to her mom, she did so like pretty often. She was well traveled, as her mom put it. Um, but I wasn't able to find a Facebook profile on her. But from what I read, there's a lot of stuff of her. She's a cat lover, and she just loved cats. And I guess, of course, since she was well traveled, I'm sure there's pictures of her all in numerous places around the world. Um, and a close friend of hers who knew her since childhood, uh, she said, um, I cannot describe how broken I am at this moment. I love this kid. She was incredible. And now, as I brought up last night, uh, Mikki was also a sex worker. And as it turns out, she was something of an activist for sex workers' rights. Um, which, now, okay, so she was involved in a program called SWAP, which stands for Sex Worker Outreach Program. Um, and the chief executive, Cameron Cox, was quoted in saying that he was gutted by the news of her death. Um, there is significant stigma and discrimination experienced by sex workers, and too often our identities, lives, and experiences are reduced to our occupation. Sex industry workers are worthy of the same rights and protections as those working in other professions. Sex workers regularly face barriers to accessing justice and reporting crimes against us because so often the violence is attributed to our work. They are equally deserving of empathy and consideration when befallen by tragedy. We are mourning the loss of a valued and loved human being. We offer the family our deepest and most sincere condolences at this time. Our collective hearts are heavy. The principal at Rosemont College that she attended, Tom Galea, he apparently told the Sydney Morning Herald that the college remembers Michaela as a highly successful and much valued student, and that she was seen as a mature, resilient young woman and positive role model. So, all right, this girl Mikki, she she clearly wasn't some crackhead, meth head junkie turning tricks for a fix. You know, this was a bright, well-rounded, educated, and most importantly, loved and valued. So, so what I'm gonna do tonight is I'm gonna honor Mikki. This is a victim that I most definitely feel deserves some tribute, and I'm gonna do the best I can to do that with how little that I know about her and this very tiny and modest platform using that. Uh, but everyone seemed to have nothing but nice things to say about her. You know, everything that I read, all these quotes from people that talked about her. I mean, you see these pictures of her, man, and she's beautiful, and she's clearly happy, like clearly happy. Um, so last year she traveled to Fiji, and there's even this picture of her where she's donating school supplies, to a local school there in Fiji. Uh, I mean, this was an example of a wonderful human being, as far as I'm concerned, and she was gorgeous to boot. But here's the thing, right? So this shitbag was tackled down, and he was screaming Allah Akbar, right? Allah Akbar, which is Arabic, I think, for God is great. Now, I don't have anything against the Muslim religion. I don't. Uh, I know. I some of the actually literally one of my favorite people on this planet, if not my favorite person on this planet, uh, is Muslim, and he's where was he from? He was from a country in Africa, Algeria. He was from Algeria, and we worked together, and he was just the most beautiful soul. And yeah, he practiced, uh, a lot of the Muslim traditions, but he was very respectful of everyone else's. You know, um, I don't want to get off track too much, but I really adored this guy. Um, but the thing about the Muslim religion is history teaches us that its culture frowns just a touch much on women's liberation. And so it's probably fair to say that a woman like Mikki is not exactly a model to the culture of the Muslim woman. Uh, and to me, that, along with the fact that he stabbed multiple people, probably makes this a terrorist attack. Uh, and not to mention that law enforcement discovered terrorist literature in his possession. Now, again, I respect the Muslim culture, even though I find much of its, as well as just about any other organized religion's traditions, to be quite dated, to say the least, right? But that's, I mean, really, I feel that way about just about every organized religion. So, uh, um, at least the ones that date back that far, or close to it even. Uh, but I don't respect those groups or individuals who feel they have the right to interfere with anyone's personal beliefs or the way they choose to live their lives based on their beliefs, as though they're the only cultures or beliefs that matter. So I'm proud of Mikki for living her life the way that made her happy. Because if she was living a life that she was, and it offended someone fanatical about keeping women down and ashamed for being women, while simultaneously living the life of a kind of, a wonderful, brilliant, beautiful woman. Just, she was a shining example for women, in my opinion. A true lover of her fellow humans. She provided a service, you know, get into the sex worker thing, but in my opinion, she provided a service designed to do nothing else but to make someone experience pleasure. I mean, is there any disputing that? I mean, and then she used her earnings, again, I feel, to be her honest earnings, to travel the world and spread love. Just random, kind acts of love. So, I mean, I don't know. When you're, it's a sensitive subject because I know a lot of people have traditional feelings about sex work, and many people feel that it brings women down to a certain level. Um, that a woman somehow is less of a woman or less of a standard of a woman when she chooses this type of profession to support herself. Um, and I completely disagree with that. I completely disagree with that. Because first of all, look, I don't give a shit what anybody says. Half the people in this chat watch porn, right? And most of you, if not all of you, are women. You know what I'm saying? So again, it brings people pleasure, but for some reason we're ashamed of talking about it. It's some sort of stigma that we have to keep the fact that we do something that everyone loves to do and everyone does somehow taboo. It doesn't it doesn't need to be a taboo thing. You know, why can't we take pride in in pleasuring others, whether it be physically, whether it be emotionally, whether it be mentally? Why can't we as human beings take pride in the fact that we have a gift, which is our sexuality, that can be used to do wonderful things? And sure, like anything else, it can be used to do bad things too. Sure. But that's on the person. That's on the individual. That's not on the act itself. You know, I don't see the logic in that. I don't see the logic in the fact that someone has to be ashamed of loving, being able to fulfill someone's fantasies. that they love that about themselves and they take pride in that. All right, I'm going to see what you guys have to say here a little bit, and then I'll go on. Um, yeah, I agree, man. She was a star. Like when I say brilliant, I mean brilliant in the sense of, in the sense that that a constellation is. You know what I mean? Just in awe to be in the presence of, you know, because we're talking about somebody who seems like she lived her life by a shining example to other people, you know, like I, I you know, and some might argue the sex worker thing, but I don't see any logic why that's anything to be ashamed of, you know. I mean, I she literally all she did was bring people happiness. That's what she did, you know. So uh, yeah, yeah, Amy Source Rex. Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to make the point. You're right. Not everyone watches porn, but there's nothing wrong with it in your opinion, and I appreciate that. Um, but I watch porn. I love porn. I've been watching porn since I was 13. You know what I mean? Uh, but I don't respect women any less. So there goes that theory right there that sex workers set a bad example for how men look at women, because I don't see it that way. Uh, one of my heroes, as a matter of fact, one of my heroes is Miss Nina Hartley, who is clearly a woman, and she is a classic porn queen, but she is also an advocate for sex workers, a very, very strong, uh, very, very strong asset to the feminist community. Um, she's an activist. She's an educator. She's incredible. I recommend anybody, I recommend every woman look her up. Look up Nina Hartley and listen to what she has to say, because she's extremely, extremely knowledgeable and extremely, extremely intelligent, and she genuinely loves being a human and spreading love. She's fantastic. Um, well, Minon, you're saying it's not even anyone's business that she was a sex worker, in your opinion. Now, the fact it is relevant if you're looking at it from a true crime standpoint, which a lot of people are. It's relevant to the case. You know what I mean? It's relevant to the motive. Um, it's not relevant. I mean, to me, it's the motive was he. Yeah. You know, I guess I guess you're saying that you earlier you'd commented that he was just a nutcase that wasn't on his meds, but in some form or another, you know, he or he was misusing his meds, is what you said. But in some form or another, this was it was still an act that he targeted her for a reason. For some reason, whether he's crazy or not doesn't change the fact that at some point he was taught that it's not okay for her to be living the type of lifestyle she was living. And so uh, that's where the problem is. That's the deeper issue. The deep issue is that he was, misusing his meds, and then lost control of himself and decided to kill someone. But the fact that he found what she was doing wrong and the way she was living her life wrong has nothing to do with his medication and has nothing to do with someone taught him that. Yes, no, Tanya Johnson, the Nina Hartley. I'm just yes, she used to be and still is actually. She's an active porn star. She's known as a gilf, but she's still doing it. Uh, you said you wish your husband could ride that train. Oh man, that's a bummer. Sorry to hear that. Um, but yeah, I'm I I I seriously I just wanted to come on here and I wanted to express my opinions. And I thought the best way to possibly honor her was to express my honest opinions about uh, sex workers and the sex worker profession. And I honestly don't have anything negative to say about it because A, if I did, it would make me a fucking hypocrite because I love porn and those are sex workers in porn. You know, everybody that everybody that uh, that is involved in the production of a triple X film is a sex worker. To me, those are honest jobs. Every single last bit of it, from the boom guy to the costume designer to the you know whatever you know to the actors, uh, and it looks to me like they're having fun at work. You know, and what's the old saying? If you love your job, you'll never work a day in your life. So good for them. Good for them. I'm grateful. You know, so uh, I just think that uh, this stigma that it's not okay for women to love sex uh, is bullshit. It's straight bullshit. You know, I don't want to be with a woman who feels timid about sex. Frankly, to me, that's just not. I want a partner who's got my level of thinking. You know, as far as any subject goes. You know, but at the same time, I mean, I'm not saying that I want to be on a higher level either. On other things. I like the idea of learning from my partner. I love the idea of learning from my partner. I want to have that type of thing with somebody where we can grow. But, you know, I'm not timid about sex, so my partner can't be either. So the stigma of women where they can't enjoy sex for whatever reason and it somehow makes them a slut or a whore or it makes them filthy or it makes them, you know, not at par with what a lady is, that's a crock of shit, man. You know, that's a crock of shit. To me, if you're a woman who knows exactly what she likes and isn't afraid to express that to her partner because she understands that her partner is her best friend and her partner is not someone there to judge her, you know? Because if you're afraid of being judged by your partner, then you've got the wrong standards for a relationship. I'll tell you that shit right now. If you're scared of your partner and how they're going to think of you because you express to them honestly what brings you pleasure, then that's your problem. It's not the fact that you have certain things. It's not what your pleasures are. It's the fact that you can't express that to your partner freely and trust them enough to either be willing to explore that with you or not, at least not judge you for it. So if that's happening, then your problem is with that partner. It's not with you and and the things that you think about and the things that turn you on. Can't help the things that turn us on. They are what they are, you know? I don't like cooked carrots, so I don't eat cooked carrots. You know what I'm saying? I don't it's I don't have any particular, there are things that I like and things that I don't like. And why the fuck should I be ashamed of the things that I like? If as long as it involves consenting adults. As long as it involves consenting adults. In my opinion, there is literally nothing wrong with what what you're doing and what turns you on and what you dig. Knock yourself out. You know what I mean? And to me, we're onto a better society when we have women thinking on that level. You know, women are badasses. Women are badasses. Like the shit that women do, man. You like you guys are never. I never see a woman just laying on a couch being sick when she's got kids and a husband. You know, not going to work unless she's like totally like, running a fucking crazy fever. But it's always us men that are like, fuck, I can't move. Can you get me something to drink? It's, but women are like, it's got to get done. So, nobody else is going to fucking do it. This lazy piece of shit's not going to do it. So I got to get it done. That's what women do, you know? So you're going to tell me that you guys are expected to do that kind of shit and you can't be comfortable with the things that turn you on sexually? That's insane. There's absolutely no logic behind that. So, yeah, yeah, I don't have any interest in sleeping with, uh, I don't have any interest in sleeping with women who aren't comfortable with themselves sexually. Because first of all, it's boring. It's fucking boring. And I don't want to feel like I'm I'm conquering someone. That's not the feeling I like to get when I sleep with a woman. The feeling I like to get when I sleep with a woman is I'm with a woman who feels the same way I feel about what we're doing, and we're about to fucking have a lot of fun. That's and I don't want to settle for less than that, you know? And the funny thing is all men naturally feel this way. It's just that the majority of men are also taught that that makes women dirty and that makes women filthy, and they can't respect a woman who is this comfortable with herself sexually because she's less than what their mama raised them to be with, you know. It's a fucking crock of shit. It's bullshit. It's a farce. So, um, yeah, I just I want to make sure, you know, that I truly believe, based on the little bit that I've learned about this girl, about Mikki, I want to make sure that if I have feelings that support what she felt so strongly about, it was important to me to express them here and now in tribute to her because she felt extremely passionate about this, it seems like. Um, and I don't know if she would agree with everything that I just said, but uh, I would like to think that instead of just talking about um, her family, which I know nothing about, and how she was with her family, which I know nothing about, other than the quote from her mom and other than the quote from her family friend. Um, so I happen to have strong feelings about the things that she was advocating, and I thought it would be a nice thing for her to honor her because uh, this is it's a pretty taboo subject, man, and it really shouldn't be. It really shouldn't be, in my opinion. You know, so I just I don't see sex as being an act of anything less than the physical ability to share. It's the physical act of sharing when you have nothing but yourself to share, and it's the physical manifestation of that. And I think that there's nothing uh, more beautiful worldly. I mean, it's the act that creates life. Why can't we enjoy it? Why can't we explore it? Why can't we have fun with it? And why do we have to feel ashamed to want to do that? That's how I feel about it. So yeah, for Mikki, I wanted to go ahead and express that. Um, because she definitely did not deserve to die the way that she did. Uh, and so I think what she was fighting for was a very, very good thing and a very noble thing. And she seemed to want to do a lot of good with her surrounding time and really express her soul in the most uh, giving way, in the most giving ways. You know, it wasn't just the act of providing a wonderful service, with the intention of just, you know, providing pleasure to others. It was the fact that she wanted to pleasure everyone in every possible way that her mind and body could allow her to. That's the kind of person that I'm visualizing. And I think it's a real devastating loss to the world's population. So yeah, uh you know I if I'm going to discuss something true crime related, I'd rather focus on the victim or the heroes involved. uh I have yet to mention this person's name, who is the perpetrator in this situation, and that is, as I mentioned last night, that is a conscious decision. I don't feel his name deserves to be mentioned on my platform. So I'm not going to mention his name because I don't want him to be remembered the way that Mikki deserves to be remembered, the way that Alex deserves to be remembered, the way that Luke deserves to be remembered. the way that Lee deserves to be remembered, the way that Paul deserves to be remembered. Um, Sorry, I'm just catching up on the chat here a little bit. This isn't going to be a long one tonight, guys. I see you guys are trying to help Tanya out with her issue. Um, yeah, I mean, Tanya, like, for real. Like, if you got a man and he's uptight, that man's got to get coached. I mean, uh, you know, it's one thing to be respectful of women and just be kind of vanilla, you know, but to not be open to being more, in my opinion, is just a travesty for a woman or a man. You know, you've got if you're a man, you've got this fantastic creature that only wants to be close to you. Uh, that is an amazing thing to be grateful for. That is definitely something to be grateful for, and that is something that we shouldn't settle for anything less than in our partners than someone who has that kind of gratitude for us. You know, I uh, I think that's a minimum standard to have. To be perfectly honest, I want my partner to want me as much as I want them. And I want them to be as grateful for my desire for them as I am for their desire for me. Um, I don't think that that's a high standard to have at all. AJ, we're talking about sex right now. Um, but the main topic was a girl named Mikki, Michaela Dunn, and she was murdered in Australia on Tuesday. Um, but I decided to try to do something in her memory on here instead of focusing on the killer so much. But she apparently, I'll give you a quick rundown. She apparently was a sex worker, and she was a strong advocate for sex workers. And now the subject is pretty much we're talking about sex and why are we so as a society so uncomfortable with the subject of sex and being comfortable with our sexuality, our individual sexuality. Yeah, see, you're saying, oh, my favorite. Yeah, it's everybody's fucking favorite. That's the whole point. Everybody fucking loves sex, yet we're not allowed to for some reason. We're not supposed to. What the fuck is that? It doesn't make any sense at all. It makes no sense whatsoever. So that's basically what we're talking about. But now I'm kind of beating a dead horse. But um, so um, yeah, well, I mean, we've been talking about it, AJ. Um, but yeah, I'm going to I'm going to talk more about it. I'm going to talk a little bit more about it and then log off here in, I don't know, just a few minutes. But this has actually turned out to be a pretty fun one here. Um, so I I'm really glad that you guys logged on and joined the chat. As always, man, you guys are the shit in the chat, man. I swear, you guys are like the best people. Like, I don't think anybody, I don't think anybody has like a better chat group, man. Like, I have, I have moderators, man. My wrenches, they get on and they get all lost in the conversation. They're not even moderating the chat because there's no need to moderate the chat because nobody's acting a fool. It's pretty dope. Like, so my mods get to have fun in the chat, and that makes me happy. It makes me real happy. But yeah, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and probably log off now. I had a fantastic time, and I really got to get some of that stuff off my chest, man. Um, I really got to, yeah, really express my opinion on that subject, um, which felt really good. And um, I I'm just really glad that you guys were so cool in the chat. And it's really ironic that I'm talking to a bunch of women, you know, and and nobody's freaking out, which is which is pretty great. Uh, hey, good night, Shannon. Um, oh no, thanks for being a mod, Manon. You're awesome. Hey, Tanya, it's our pleasure. Yeah, man, I'm telling you, everybody deserves to be happy, man. Be happy. Be happy. We all deserve to be happy, right? We all deserve to have the things that make us happy. As long as we're willing to make other people happy, we deserve it, right? That's what I think. Anyway, but anyways, I'm gonna leave you guys on that note, and I love you very much, and uh, we will be uh, we will be doing this again very soon. Okay. Good night, everybody.